6 o'clock, April
Recording in
1st.
progress.
It gets me every time. April 1st, 2026, 6 p.m. I call a Franklin Town Council meeting to order. I'd like to have a moment of silence. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Note to residents, all citizens are welcome to attend public meetings in person. To view the live meeting remotely, citizens are encouraged to watch the live stream on Franklin Town Hall TV YouTube channel or live broadcast on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 29. To listen to the meeting remotely, citizens may call in using the number 1-929-205-6099. To participate in the meeting remotely, citizens may join the Zoom webinar using the information below, which I will give you. Meetings are recorded and archived by Franklin TV on Franklin Town Hall TV YouTube channel and shown on repeat on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 29. The Zoom webinar detail number is 854-3879-0109. Any participants who wish to speak must enter their full name and address when joining the webinar. All participants will be automatically muted upon joining the webinar. In order to speak, the participants will need to select the raise hand function to request to be unmuted. All speakers will be required to state their full name and street address before commenting. Announcements from the chair. This meeting is being recorded by Franklin TV and shown on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 29. This meeting may be recorded by others. Couple announcements. Council Marangella will be is on Zoom tonight, and Councilor Callaway Tripp is under the weather and will not be with us today, but I know she's watching, so hopefully she gets better soon, Jane. Upcoming town-sponsored events. The Finance Committee budget hearing dates are as follows. Monday, April 6th to discuss general government. Tuesday, April 7th to discuss schools. Wednesday, April 8th to discuss public safety and DPW. Thursday, April 9th, only if necessary. If they get through everything on Monday and Wednesday, they will not need to meet on Thursday. The Franklin 25th Annual Earth Day cleanup will take place on Saturday, April 18th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Join the recreational department and be there at 9 a.m. to pick up gloves and trash bags in the site map. They'll show you where to go before heading out to the assigned areas. And thanks everybody for participating in that event. Citizens' comments. Citizens are welcome to express their view for up to 3 minutes on a matter that is not on the agenda, in compliance with Chapter 38, Section 20, the open meeting law. The council cannot engage in a dialogue or comment on the matter raised during citizens' comments. The council may ask the town administrator to review the matter. Nothing herein shall prevent the town administrator from correcting a misstatement of fact. Is there anybody? Please just stand up and your name and address, please.
Hello, Selena Cousin, 114 Beach Street. Good evening. This is only my second time in over 20 20 years of living in Franklin to come to speak before the town council. I usually stick to education, that's my things I understand that related matters. But as in my previous one time speaking out about the potential trash burning facility that was supposed to be put onto Pond Street about back in Jeff Nunning's days, that was quickly rejected. I also feel compelled to speak up again on another potential environmental hazard that would negatively affect a large number of Franklin citizens, namely the recent proposal for a battery energy storage system by the town of Bellingham and the Zero Point Development Corporation. This land was an EPS brownfield site and is located on my street, directly next to a very highly populated Franklin neighborhood and the Charles River. It poses health risks by disturbing the contaminated site, fire risks, especially given our ongoing water drought status, and significant noise and traffic concerns. Councilors, I am very concerned about the proposed battery energy storage system being at the site abutting the Charles River on the Old Mill on Pearl Street. As you know, Pearl Street in Bellingham becomes Beach Street in Franklin when the road crosses over the town line. This is a densely packed residential neighborhood that includes all of Hawthorne Village, all of Dover Farms, in addition to Beach Street, Plain Street, Pond Street, and the dozens of side streets that branch out. I don't know exactly how many Franklin families live within a half-mile radius or a mile radius of this site, but it's surely in the hundreds, if not thousands. Adults, children, and pets all stand to be negatively impacted. In fact, there's even a traffic sign right in front of the mill that says thickly populated area. Okay, hold on. Before I continue, I want to publicly thank the councilors who took the time to read and respond to the email I sent. Thank you. I especially want to thank Ted Tormier-Ledger and Max Morangello, who did some research into the issue, as well as Jane Calloway Tripp, who I understand has been in contact with the woman spearheading this concern for citizens. Thank you all. As you may be aware, the town of Bellingham only notified people living within 300 feet of the proposed system. So you can only imagine how challenging it's been to get the word out to everyone who will actually be affected if this comes to fruition. These large batteries are going to pop up everywhere. I get that. I understand that. However, a large, densely packed residential neighborhood is not the place for this. It poses great disturbance and safety threats to residents of both towns, especially with regards to noise, traffic, health, environmental, and potential fire hazard issues. I beg you all to drive by the location if you're not familiar with it and see how close it is to many Franklin neighborhoods. So what are the concerns? First, there's the obvious noise issues for families living in the area. We can already hear the noise and feel vibrations from the recently built monstrosity in Medway. This site is significantly closer to us. There are fire risks, and as you may know, these fires are often too dangerous for firemen and women to fight, so they are left to burn on their own, destroying whatever is in the vicinity. A recent battery system fire in California involved evacuating homes 2 miles around, and upon return, all homes were uninhabitable because of toxic particles and debris. A retired local fire chief has publicly spoken out against the safety of this proposal in the area, in the congested area. In addition to fire concerns, there are many other issues.
We're over 2 minutes.
Can I continue? Okay, I'll talk faster.
Wrap it up.
It's a complicated issue. In addition, this is an EPA brownfield site of the highest level of contamination. In the 2 decades I've lived here, the town of Bellingham has proposed a variety of other potential uses for this contaminated land, including senior housing, a park and playground, and bike paths, and then determine that the area is too contaminated and dangerous to be used for these purposes. Why then would we now want to dig up God knows what to send into the environment in nearby neighborhoods? Moreover, the site directly abuts a part of the Charles River. Any contamination from this site will directly leach into our water system. This land also directly abuts the town of Franklin's conservation land on Plain Street. This is a protected habitat of endangered species and delicate ecosystems that will surely be disrupted should this large battery be placed adjacent. And then there's the traffic.
All right. We only have 3 minutes. We're already at.
I mean,
That's
May I continue? I think it's worth it. It's something that's
How
going to
much
affect
longer do you got?
2 paragraphs.
All right, hurry up.
So why is this even being proposed? In short, there are politics, corporate greed, and conflicts of interest that would be enough for the makings of the next Aaron Brockovich movie. But without going too far into the underlying politics, I'll say that the town of Bellingham has legal and financial reasons to participate. There's a history of legal issues, special permits, bylaw issues, and more. In addition, the politicians that are supposed to be advocating for these towns have received donations from the Zero Point Development Corporation and are connected with the lobbyists who lobbies on behalf of large storage facilities. And finally, the Charles River Watershed Association also received a large donation from the River and this. So what does Springfield get out of this? Just the repercussions and the negative impacts. What can you, the town council of Franklin, do to advocate on behalf of the hundreds or thousands of residents who will be directly negatively impacted by this proposed system? At the very least, I ask you please write a letter signed by the entire town council expressing your concerns that this will negatively affect citizens of Franklin. I beg you. Request that any such battery energy storage system be built no closer than a half mile from the nearest Franklin residential homes. Attend the meeting on April 2nd at 7 p.m. at Bellingham Town Hall to express your concerns. And for our town administrator and chair of town council, please make the time to talk to the woman. I'll give you her information. Who has researched these issues and hear about the many other issues and political implications of this proposal. And finally, please take the time to talk to our fire and emergency personnel and see how this would play out in the event of fire in Franklin. There is legislation pending that would require these things to be placed no closer than 2,000 feet from the nearest residence. And I'm hopeful that will.
Send me her name,
So,
her address.
I'm going to give Jamie a paper that has the.
And I'll call it.
Great.
We can talk, okay?
Thanks.
Thank you. She got up, so I knew there was somebody else.
Susan Rohrbach, 38 Illinois. Evening, councilors. This is just a public service announcement from the Porch Fest Committee. So if you don't mind, I just want to hear your remarks here. On behalf of the Porch Fest Committee, we wanted to make everyone aware that Porch Fest is returning on Saturday, June 6th from noon to 6 p.m. The rain date is the following day on Sunday, June 7th. Porch Fest is a great event. If you don't know about it, it's an event where the town is filled with music as community members graciously host bands on their porches. We're excited to announce that registration is now open for both bands and porches. Band and porch hosts can sign up by going to our website, franklin.porchfest.info. This year's event is shaping up to be the biggest yet, featuring opening and closing ceremonies on the town common, food trucks, and porch performances throughout Cultural District. Thank you for the Cultural District for organizing Porch Fest into the town, for supporting this event, which highlights the cultural assets in Franklin. Stay tuned and check our website for updates. We can't wait for the town to come together and enjoy Porch Fest. Thank you.
Gino? Name and address.
Gino Calucci, 121 Way. I'm here on behalf of Quattro Royal Lodge, Sons and Daughters of Italy, which was, our lodge here was founded in 1926, and the name Quattro Royal is Italian for four heroes, named after four Franklin residents, three of whom were immigrants, one was born in Franklin, who were all killed sadly at the very end of World War I. And in celebration of our 100th anniversary, we have three events upcoming. That I think they're going to be really great. First, thanks to the Historical Museum for hosting an exhibit of some of our artifacts and archives dating back 100 years. Most of them are more recent, but there's a couple of old ones, including a spectacular picture of the four heroes that we were named after. Second, The author and historian Stephen Pulio will be speaking at the Historical Museum on Sunday, April 12th. Both of these events, the exhibit and the speaker are both free. So if anybody's interested in coming. And finally, we have a celebratory dinner that will be held at the VFW Hall on May 16th. And tickets are available if anyone is interested. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief. Anybody else? James, go ahead.
Dave Callahan, 30 Plain Street. Just right down the street from that proposed site. If you haven't visited, just pop on by and say hi. We'll get gluten-free. So here with the school committee update, we had two amazing presentations from the last time I was here. One with our food services that provides all of the breakfast and lunches for all of our kiddos, and also lifelong learning that provides after-school care, amazing enrichment opportunities, things like high school experience, ready set kindergarten, and also some great adult classes as well. We also provide over 1,000, we had 1,000 adults that are enrolled in their services. Lifelong learning really also stressed and talked a lot about the daycare center that has been piloted and is going to be launched this coming fall. And again, this is something for starting out with Franklin teachers, but with the potential to be expanded to town employees as well, for their kids to be able to have a daycare facility right on Pond Street where former Kennedy was. It's such an amazing recruitment and retention model, but also a revenue stream as well. And that was something where both lifelong learning and food services, and this is not an April Fool's Day prank, those two organizations entirely self-sufficient. What they kind of take in within their revolving account is how they operate, and that all expenses, employees, the benefits entirely within their own revolving accounts. And that also, food services talk about the way that they reinvest themselves. So over the past 3 years, they've been able to make over $1 million in capital improvement projects funded right through their own revolving accounts, right through their own self-sustaining mechanisms. Obviously that's amazing that we can kind of do that, but I think at even a higher point, that's $1 million that isn't coming before FinCom. $1 million is not coming before the town council. They kind of have to make those hard choices. When we look at our capital improvements, we know this was a conversation not that long ago. It's a finite number of tax dollars that's available. And so when we're able to kind of have through their self-sustaining revolving account $1 million that isn't now having to kind of be dictated about can we spend this in the schools, in the police, in the fire, DPW, the food services is completely managing all of those expenses on themselves and providing some amazing opportunities and some delicious ones as well that they brought to our last meeting, and we'll see what happens in the future as well. So thank you all so much for your time.
Thanks, Dave. Is there anybody else in the council chamber? What, anybody in Zoom land? Doesn't look good. Okay, thank you. Council comments. Council LeBlanc.
Thank you. So I had a chance to look at watch the prior meeting, so I thought it was necessary for me to read into the record an absentee note for me not being here. So, to whom it may concern, please excuse Michael's absence from the town council meeting on March 18th. He had a previously planned trip and was scheduled to be in London during that week. He would be happy to complete any assignments or responsibilities that may have been missed during his absence. Sincerely, Michael's mother. I want that read into the record because I did hear comments of why did I not have that? So,
You're on a road trip.
Second thing is, I wanted to thank Corey Schaer, Director of Arts and Culture and Economic, as it relates to working with the Metro West in Marlborough and securing one of 17 grants for the World Cup. I know we talked about that about a month or so ago, and I know the total combined was 120. I had reached out to Corey. I don't know how much of that 120 we're getting, but I think that obviously the World Cup event is going to be very impactful in this area, and to have those 2 days for those 2 events, and to have that grant help finance part or all, I still don't know all the details, but that was a wonderful effort, and I think it'll bring, obviously, other people, from other communities to Franklin for those 2 days. You can't afford a $700 ticket to go to the game down the street, so I want to give kudos to Corey for working on that. Third thing is we've all talked about outreach, so one of the things I'm going to start doing is probably every other month, I'm going to go to a local restaurant on Saturday or Sunday. I'm going to park my little caboose there for an hour and a half, eat some breakfast, and I'm inviting people listening to this or however you want to get it out, just come on by and sit down with me and have a cup of coffee or have a meal or whatever. So to start that off, this Saturday from 8:30 to 10 o'clock at Jimbo's New York Deli, up where the Liquor World Plaza is. I will be there from 8:30 to 10 o'clock in the morning. So anybody who would like to stop in and, like I said, have a little breakfast, have a cup of coffee, talk about what's going on, I'll be there to listen to you all. And the last thing that I wanted to do tonight is I wanted to read something again into the record. I want to take a moment tonight to talk about someone who is not a Franklin resident, but who had a profound impact on one. That's me. And after hearing this, I hope that impact extends to others here in Franklin. The person I'm speaking about is my dad, Edward LeBlanc, who passed away a couple of weeks ago at the wonderful age of 94 years old. The night before he passed, many of our family members were gathered in his hospital. One of his grandchildren, and he had 13 of them, asked, "What is your favorite memory of Grandpa?" That's what they called him. When it got to me, I said my favorite thing about my dad was that he didn't do it, he taught it. And that's where the lesson is, especially for today's parents. My dad never did my work for me. He had a way of asking questions instead of giving solutions. He was patient, even when I wasn't. He would guide me step by step, helping me understand the process rather than just the answer. Sure, he taught me how to tie my shoes and how to play golf and baseball and basketball and just about every other sport. He even taught me how to drive a car. Well, I don't know if we really get it, maybe that wasn't what I was talking about. But the most important thing he taught me were life skills and independence. By not doing things for me, he showed me that I was capable of doing them myself. Every small victory, solving a problem, fixing something on my own, learning a new skill felt earned. Those moments built confidence in a way that simply being helped never could. I began to trust my own abilities because I had proof that I could figure things out even when it was hard. He also taught me resilience. When you're not given immediate solutions, you learn how to feel, you learn how to deal with frustration. You learn that failure isn't the end, it's part of the process. And he taught me the value of effort. That success comes from being willing to work through challenges and keep improving. Looking back, I see that his approach required patience and restraint. It would have been easier for him to step in and fix things for himself. It would have saved time and prevented frustration. But he chose the harder path because he understood something important. Doing things for me might help me in the moment, but teaching me how to do them helped me for a lifetime. When I was in 8th grade, he taught me how to run a political campaign. I was running for class president, and he showed me how to make my campaign stand out. And even had a neighbor come take professionals' photos of me for my campaign sign so everyone knew who I was. I lost that election, unfortunately. But looking back now, I realize something important. He didn't teach me how to win. He taught me how to try, how to learn, and how to keep going. And in the end, those lessons mattered far more than the outcome. So my dad may not live in Franklin, His impact lives on through this Franklin resident, and I hope in some way, some small way, after hearing part of this story, it will impact some of you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So awesome, Michael. May you rest in peace. Councilor Malloy.
Thank you. Condolences, Mike. Well done. That was great. Nice tribute to that. I don't have too much of the really just to wish everybody a big holiday week, Passover, Happy Easter, so celebrating coming up. It's going to be a real stress now with budget committee and some committee work and everything else going on, so look forward to getting engaged in all that. So starting to really get into the meat of a lot of work to get into. So that's it.
First, moving, so appreciate you sharing that. A couple of comments from me. First, I wanted to draw attention to the Franklin First newsletter. Our new communications director, Liz Kalajian, shared that, I think, a day or two ago. It's fantastic. The first edition captures a lot of what we've done over the first quarter of the year. For those who, like many of us, don't have the time to listen and track everything, it's a very good summary. It's a great place to start. And so I wanted to just kind of throw that shout out there to let folks know that it exists. Go out there, subscribe, get information, just know what's going on in the town. That's first. Also wanted to just again, another shout out, reminder, we're having our first ever restaurant week, week of May 31st to June 6th, which is fantastic. It's really a great way to continue to advertise and promote Franklin. Restaurants who have not signed up yet, I should have checked as soon as we have the email to sign up, but you can find that information in Franklin First newsletter. And thirdly, just to reiterate a comment, that Councilor Moore just mentioned, our primary job is to make sure that Franklin continues to function at least as well as it does today and continues in the future. A large part of that, I think everyone would agree, is around budgeting and finances. Next week kicks off the Franklin, kicks off our finance committee meeting where they actually discuss the budget. So for those who are concerned or just unaware, it's a really good way to get up to speed as we go into this period where we start. We're trying to make a plan. We're trying to figure out our path forward. My wife and I were chuckling this week because I was watching, I don't remember what the heck I was watching, but a saying stuck with me. They said, the show, plans are hard, chaos is easy. And we're at a place now where we need to make plans. And that means there's a lot of work that's going to go into it. Not everybody's going to be happy with anything we do, but folks in front of you, we're willing to do the work. And we're asking you to come along with us and trying to give you opportunities to make sure that you know you are aware of what's going on, so that as we try to find the right direction forward in what I think most will be a really tricky time economically, that we're setting a strong foundation for the future of Franklin.
First of all, Michael, thank you for sharing that. I think that was beautiful. I appreciate you sharing your dad with us. That was really special. Sorry for your loss. Secondly, I'd like to address the battery storage. I know you've received lots of emails about it from Franklin residents, and also information from Bellingham residents who felt like reaching out to us was a way that they could be heard, but they didn't feel like they were being heard. I know that if we were to attend the meeting tomorrow night, we cannot attend as representatives of the Franklin Town Council, correct? So I guess I want to clarify what it is that we are and are not allowed to do, considering this is something in a different town. Are we able to write a letter? I know that there are residents who feel very strongly about this. I actually live nearby too. Not psyched about it, but we've received probably a dozen emails in the last couple of days, and we've seen a lot of concerns over it on social media. So I think that if there are things we can do, at least express the concerns on behalf of our residents, and we should do that. So I guess I'm trying to find out what it is we are able to do.
Through Mr. Chairman, I'll talk to a few more points to Selena's comments during the report, but all of you, I believe, are welcome to go to Bellingham. You can certainly cite your town councilor or elected official or board member over there. You can talk to the resident. Obviously, it's a continued public hearing tomorrow night. I would encourage any interested parties. I understand that there are a lot of concerns, and some of the concerns that people have may be valid, and may be true, they may not be true. But I think it's really important, like any hearing for our planning board or during Board of Appeals, Conservation Commission, it's really critical that citizens go to those actual hearings and listen to the applicant, the peer review, the engineers. I firmly understand that there's a lot of fear out there from a lot of different things, and I think we all are familiar with that. But I think it still is really important to emphasize that to people. I know there's stuff on the internet, and I know people have seen other examples of these things, maybe not going the way they want, but I think we're dealing with a project right here, right now. I think it's really important for anybody that's out there that's interested. They should attend these hearings and read the documents that's been proposed. So y'all can go over, you can write letters, you can join up as one. Whether or not the Zoning Board of Appeals in Bellingham is going to allow you to comment, I don't know, because it's in their jurisdiction, and the chair of that committee can either ask people, or can either allow people to speak, or they may not allow them to speak. It just depends on that chair and their circumstances. But as I've said to other councilors and other folks, all of you can write letters. I mean, you can write as councilors a letter saying, here are the 12 emails we've received, here's the feedback. We've enjoyed it, as a neighbor, you take this into consideration while you're permitting this facility, and you get a response back to whatever those concerns are. So you actually do have a fair wide line. I would note, I think this was noted earlier, while we're on the topic, a couple of quick clarifications. The 300-foot of butter, just to emphasize, people have heard Green's comments. I mean, that's just Bellingham doing what every municipality does. That's the law, the 300-foot of butter. I know many of you are probably familiar with that, but maybe people in the audience or at home aren't. It's not from a lack of trying to attempt to let everybody know what it is, but at some point we have to draw the line on the butter notifications, and we always draw them at the line of whatever that state law applies to. So in this case, 300 feet. They post the meetings 48 hours in advance, and so that doesn't always feel like it's engaging. But once you start doing more, then you're expected to do more everywhere. And with social media and word of mouth, I think these things generally get out to people anyways. I would note that this was a proposal, just for the public's edification, this is a proposal by the town of Bellingham. So the town of Bellingham is actually the applicant. And the reason why the town of Bellingham is the applicant is because town meeting 3 years ago in Bellingham, which is their legislative body, they approved this. So this was a decision by the voters of Bellingham who showed up at that town meeting 3 years ago, and they prioritized specifically the battery storage facility to approve. So the town went and applied to this. So that does add a little bit more complication to it, just because I'm assuming, but I'm not sure, because I have the same documents from the town manager that I forwarded all of you, that I know all over the internet. The town itself is the applicant. So you'd like to believe that the town of Bellingham has done their due diligence on whatever the concerns would be on that parcel in terms of the River Protection Act, the mandatory 200-foot delineation away from the river. I'm assuming they've done that. So things that are, I think some of the concerns that I've heard from residents, and certainly Selena earlier, I think a lot of those questions can be answered by the town of Bellingham if there's a here. And the last quick thing I'd mention is these facilities are generally, as everybody knows, in very high demand, and they're in high demand because we're using an insane amount of electricity. So we as citizens in this community, and it's basically put so much pressure on the grid that the state of Massachusetts has essentially made this a by right thing at the state level. So it's going to be very hard to obstruct the facility, I think, but I think addressing people's concerns, having questions answered, maybe resting some of the concerns that residents have, and some of their fears, maybe through that educational piece and that back and forth with town Bellingham. Hopefully we can make people feel a little bit more comfortable that, that some of the things that people are talking about, hopefully we can happen. I hope that's a little bit of an overview, and certainly other folks have questions.
Another comment I just want to make about that is that I want to encourage people, especially if you park outside of your garages, to please lock your cars at night. I've seen reports recently of people, I don't know whether they are locking their car doors or not, but of people who are losing valuable items out of their cars. I have not here in Franklin, but in a previous life somewhere else, I had left my car unlocked, and one night, only night I ever did that, and luckily I had nothing in the car, they took some change. But it can be very disconcerting to get into your car and realize that someone has been in there. I know our police force is on the case, but I just encourage everyone to lock their cars and just try to give. Most of the time I find that people who are willing to do that are not willing to go any further than trying a door. So if the door is locked, then they move on. So just encourage you to think about that.
Thank you. We're gonna go to Max. Now, Max. Council.
Hear me, everyone?
Yeah, we got you, Max.
All right. I wish I could be with you in person all tonight. Unfortunately, I'm dealing with one of the 10 plagues, so I'm joining you from home. First, I want to thank you, everyone who came forward for Citizens' comments tonight. It's citizen engagement on behalf of everyone who here. Before we get into that, I want to acknowledge that, especially for many in our community, those celebrating Easter on this Sunday, and those beginning Passover tonight, I wish you and your families a joyful and meaningful holiday. I want to build off of what Ken said about the finance committee next week. We're going to be right here in council chambers. In the last decade, only 3 people have spoken during citizens' comments at a finance committee budget hearing. Steve Sherlock, Mark McCallum, and me. 3 people, that's it. So if you think there's waste in the budget, go up and tell us where it is. This is your money, use your voice. We need people to show up. If you don't show up, you can't complain. So I do want to acknowledge, take a moment to recognize our fire department, our DPW, who serve our town when it matters the most. Last week, DPW prepared a water main break on West Central Street overnight in the sports service on Monday, on March 26th. They're working long hours doing that. The other thing is the fire department has responded to a working structure fire on Willow Street. They rescued 2 pets were rescued, usually from 5 different departments. There's no loss of life, thank goodness. And then we had another response on 9.5, where firefighters treated window shops and rollover. And they called off-duty members to keep both stations covered. And they landed a med-flight helicopter on the highway. We were sure of recovery. We had 3 calls, 3 responses that were fast, fearless, and exactly what this community deserves. So I want to thank all of the first responders. Separately, I just want to note that the legislature is currently debating $300 million in Chapter 90 funding for road and infrastructure maintenance. So I think that's, we need some of that money to come I wanted to have a chance to talk about what I did the past 2 weeks, showing up, listening, and learning. I attended the 250th anniversary committee meeting, where the committee has developed a strong logo and connected with folks from Easton about their celebration for Roadmap for Ours. I also sat down with Corey Shea, the Director of Arts, Culture, and Creative Economy, digging into working on talking about public art and how important that is. We have Pacific Cross Franklin having Welcome to the World campaign this summer, which he's building some really great stuff. Personally, I want to say I was glad to see Franklin represented in the MMA's April Beacon newsletter this month, which covered the legislative breakfast meeting in Sharon. This would remind me that the work this community does gets noticed well beyond borders. I'd like to recognize three members of our town team who worked at the recognition this month. Everyone Matters, Deputy Fire Chief Jim Clip, completed the Massachusetts Professional Emergency Manager Program, earning his NEMA certificate, which makes this entire community safer. We have Senior Center Director Sarah Amaral, who is selected to serve on the Massachusetts Council on Aging Legislative Committee, giving Franklin seniors a statewide advocate table, as well as Daniel Machado, who joined the police department as a new co-response clinician, meeting deep experience in crisis and behavioral health to roll both around meeting residents in their hardest moments with both compassion and skill. Congratulations and welcome to all three. Franklin also has been showing up beyond the borders, once named to response to Carney, received the National USA Field Hockey Global Game Award, recognizing his career built on lasting impact. FHS senior Gavin Warren Carlos, sorry, I apologize, was named the National Merit Scholarship Finalist, listed among the top 1% of high school seniors in the country. FHS freshman Marina Zakai placed third in the Massachusetts Poetry Out Loud State Finals, competing against students from across the state and doing so as a ninth grader makes all the work extraordinary. And finally, we got the live arts sports set, which received a grant from the Massachusetts Cultural Council, which only just 14% of applicants statewide received. I think we should be very proud of you for all the accomplishments that some of these high schoolers in our arts have all done. Speaking of grants, we were awarded a $250,000 grant from the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection for the demolition of the former New Style set on Oak Street. And that's in addition to a $500,000 grant from EPA FY23. So all that money is money that taxpayers don't have to pay from the property taxes. So that's great because, trying to keep taxes low, trying to, mediate some of these things that need to be remediated. I want to welcome the four employees who joined the town this March, James Moore as administrative assistant in the town administration, Joe Eason as deputy director of facilities, Danielle Machado as co-response clinician, who was permanent before, and Patrick Rose in our school division. Glad to have you keep them on the team. And finally, tonight marks, as I said before, marks the beginning of Passover. Now, if anyone is wondering about the empty chair in council chambers, it's not a vacancy. Every Passover Seder, the chair is set to the prophet Elijah, so consider it reserved. I'm sure he has better attendance tonight. Passover Seder, the family and loved ones that we will enjoy the celebration. Take us Sameach. Thank you.
Thanks, Max.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Max, you're a tough act to follow. You covered a lot there. Thank you for all that. I guess Tori Shazy has been around because I had a great breakfast meeting with her as well and talked all about the projects that she's got going on and the grants and all the exciting things coming up. She's truly doing wonderful work. First, I want to say congratulations to the cast and crew and everybody involved over at the Franklin Performing Arts Company for a wonderful run into the woods. Great job. Let's see. Michael, so glad your mom excused you from the meeting. I was concerned, but I'm glad you're here tonight. And also thank you for sharing that beautiful tribute to your dad. You'd be happy to know that he was channeled through me today on the way here. As I got into my car with 10 minutes to spare to get here, and there was no gas in my tank. And that was because my teenage son, who's 17 and is invincible, didn't think he needed to put the gas in the car until it was literally blinking. So your dad, somehow looking down on me, kept me calm and kept me from using all sorts of inappropriate language and got me safely to the gas station where I let my son know that this would be coming out of his allowance and to get it. But it was one of those life lessons that I think will hopefully resonate with him in the future. Thank you to our Franklin Police Department for their incredible sense of humor for posting today on Facebook that they were buying a whole new fleet of $140,000 trucks. And I was reading through the Facebook post, it had quotes, it had all kinds of attributes about why this was the right thing. They had photos, and they got me. I got all the way to the bottom, and I said, I don't remember that ever coming up. I don't know where this money's coming from. Oh my God, we're going to get killed. And then at the bottom, it's like, and I'm like, okay. So congrats. I'm glad we're still able to laugh. Apparently everyone's done that. And let's see, what else do I have? Certainly want to wish everyone a happy Passover and a happy Easter. And with that, I yield. Jim, thank you.
Thank you. You know,
First off, condolences. Michael McPaskins, yeah, that was an excellent tribute. Also happy Passover and Easter to everyone. My only other comment is regarding the battery storage. I think renewable energy is great, that we should charge it as much as we can, but not at the cost of public safety. And so where public safety runs into renewables, we have to be on guard for public safety. So I would support a letter from the town council that would object to building that battery storage facility. That's it.
yeah, you kind of took it. I was going to say, Jamie, why don't you guys get minds together and draft up some kind of letter, and we'll do our due diligence. I don't know if we can speak tomorrow night, but we can go over something, I guess. Mike, thank you for that tribute. 15 years and nobody brought tears to my eyes. That brought my father back a little bit. So I just started to tear up a little bit myself. So may you rest in peace. He did a great job. So, and to piggyback on Max, the fire department just had another fire on Dean Avenue. I just saw, and the fire's knocked down, but one person had smoke insulation, inhalation. They had to go to the hospital, but I think Chuck said she should be okay. It's just minor. So I think they force precaution than anything. So they do a great job along with our police and DPW. We should be very thankful. With that, we can move on. I think, Jamie, we're going to do the proclamations first. Want to do that?
Subcommittee report?
Subcommittee report. Joint subcommittee meeting April 16th at 6 p.m. EDC is going to be tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Where's that? Is that in here or is that up above? It's in Council Chambers. And joint subcommittee is, Ken, is that going to be?
16th.
Yeah.
The training.
The training one? Communications.
We're scheduling now.
Yeah, we're going to be scheduling town shadow one too, so the police station, I don't think we have any, and we don't have a meeting scheduled for that, do we?
You don't, it's still an active committee, but they voted already, but I think I'm trying to figure out a time when they come in.
Yeah, they want to come in and see something. So I'm going to do the proclamation and recognition. We have one tonight. Council Cormier Ledger. Chloe Bowser? I don't know.
So this must be Chloe.
Thank you so much.
All right, so this is a proclamation from the town of Franklin honoring Chloe Bowser for winning the USS Massachusetts Historic Essay Contest, and thus earning recognition for the town of Franklin by having the birthday monument named for the town on the submarine USS Massachusetts SSN 798. Whereas Franklin High School student Chloe Bowser was one of 12 winners of the USS Massachusetts Historic Essay Contest, and whereas the USS Massachusetts SSN 798 was commissioned on March 28, 2026, whereas Chloe Bowser was recognized for her accomplishments by placement of an entering the town of Franklin sign affixed to the tone of the submarine's 12 birthday rooms. That's pretty cool. Whereas she received a commemorative plaque bearing her name, school, and hometown, with a duplicate plaque being installed on board the ship. Whereas she was recognized in the official USS Massachusetts Commissioning Book, where her essay is now published. And whereas Chloe Bowser has brought recognition and honor to the town of Franklin, so we honor her here tonight. Now therefore be it known that Chloe Bowser is hereby commended and recognized by the town of Franklin Town Council for the occasion of winning the USS Massachusetts Historic Essay Contest and earning recognition to the town of Franklin by having a town of Franklin birthday room named for the town on the submarine USS Massachusetts SSN 788, signed by Robert Walker, our chairman, and stated tonight, April 1st, 2026. Congratulations.
Please, from Representative's office.
Yes, I'm here to recommend Representative Jeff Joy from the House of Representatives, likewise for everything he just said. Citation, congratulations, Chloe. So on behalf of the House of Representatives, give you some details.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Chloe, if you may, just share briefly with everyone a little bit about the essay contest and where people can read your essay online. And congratulations.
So the essay that I wrote is a historical fiction about a family of this generation in the Charlestown Navy Yard. And it goes through a woman's great-great-grandfather, great-grandfather, and all the way down. All of the ship's information should be correct. I tried to do my best research on it. And it goes through it, and it's almost like a tour as you go through the Navy Yard and what it was put through. And I believe it should be up on the website of the USS Massachusetts that people can read.
Congratulating Chloe tonight. I want to thank all of our veterans in attendance here. If you can stand up.
Can you hang around for a couple of seconds? We'd like a few pictures, if you don't mind. So I'm going to take a 2-minute recess.
Thank you so much.
The lights.
Can we get all the vets to come up for the photo as well?
Awesome.
All right, and we'll have the vets come in just kind of go on either side, that'd be great.
Turn
Did you get everybody?
Yeah, things happen.
Oh, I
Good?
Perfect, I think so.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight.
Can't wait to read the
Thank you. I tried my best. historical. I have Thank you. I will definitely have to let you know.
He had a few years on when it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you so much. Yes, it was incredible there, and it was great too. Yes. Oh, you little bit. Yes, oh my goodness.
Where do you want me to talk to?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great job. I really.
My other work is slides. Charlestown,
Went in like 30 He came back and went he retired in like 1975. He worked there.
Would you mind presenting to
It was 87. He never got more than that. They're all He was slow coverage. Yeah. You overshot. No, I didn't. I wanted to be this guy. That's my uncle was the bookie over there.
what happens, Michael, when nice guys do construction, right? Because he's not a...
You ready?
Yes.
Recording in progress.
I'm being 6:55. I call the Franklin Town Council meeting back to order. We're going to go to the town administrator report.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So kudos to a bunch of folks. You took a bunch of the points off, which means everyone's reading the newsletter, which is fantastic to hear. Offer my similar condolences to Councilor LeBlanc and his family on a very brieful tribute to his dad, wonderful Mike. Couple points. Number one, obviously the town, my filing of the budget for FY27 is now out. For anybody that wants to read it, go to franklinrenny.gov. There's a tab right in the middle of the website, the town budget, go to FY27. And I would note that the required piece is the town administrator's budget message. So that's a long document with a lot of narrative in it, and a lot of graphs and charts and a variety of things. Appendix A is actually the recommended voting document and the budget book. If people go into Appendix A, at least for the town, we have in there itemized line items for every budget. We also have personnel sheets in there with every salary of every employee. For our custodians, DPW, police, and fire, we have their base salary in addition to all the other detailed salary. We've broken all of that out to be very transparent and clear about where every dollar is going for every municipal staff member. Appendix B in the document is also the school, public schools district budget book. And then there's endless amounts of other appendices in there with historical data, new growth, local receipts, assessments, free cash balances, and a variety of other things. People can also go to our budget site and see all of our audits that we post online. We also have all of our bond rating. We have all of our capital plans. And this is a site, when I got here about 10 years ago, when we revamped the website, we really tried to put up a lot more information and detail for people who at the time really wanted a lot of that detail. Now I understand people don't want the detail, but nonetheless, you can keyword search everything. So if you're looking for a particular name of exactly how much a certain person makes, or if you're looking for a department, you can go right into the budget book or the budget message and be able to search all that right in there. Also, thank you very much, everybody, for noting the Franklin First newsletter. I would also make a plug, and Liz is going to continue to push out a lot more of this, but having and encouraging all of your social media networks, all of your contacts, all of your friends and family, all of the elected officials that are listening, all of the other board members who are listening, anyone listening right now at home on YouTube or on cable TV, go onto the website, sign up for the newsletter. This one was a little longer edition than normal. It was 6 pages because it covered 3 months. I think a couple of you mentioned. So we hope to get it out monthly. It'll probably be around 2 pages. But with so many good things happening, it might be a little bit longer than that. One other point that was in there, just to announce Restaurant Week, May 31st to June 6th. We saw Sue with the mic earlier, coordinating with Porch Fest. Thanks to Corey and Julie in my office, and Marina and Liz for working on that. Huge announcement for the Rail Trail, Bellingham Franklin Rail Trail Committee. I just met with the folks today. The track is actually coming up. So the firm who's hired by CSX to come remove all the track. Mike Maglio and I today met with them at 1 o'clock. It should be totally ripped up by the end of the month. They're going to grade it just a little bit, and then we're looking at, I'm going to try to get a kind of ceremonial ribbon cutting or something to commemorate all this, hopefully over the summer. I'm going to try and get the commissioner of the Department of Conservation and Recreation or other state officials. As I've mentioned before, once the track is up and we can enter into an agreement for an easement with the state, they'll be giving us $1 million to replenish either some of our land use costs that we did to purchase it, or we can use the money to hopefully do some of the work. I have formally, as all of you know, but along the SNET, I did formally ask Rep. Roy to file an amendment to the environmental bond bill for a $3.5 million state appropriation to the SNET trail. So we won't have any finality on that, but when Jeff and Becca come before the council later this fall to do their annual legislative update, hopefully Jeff will have some good news there on the SNET trail. So we're moving really fast on this project, and it's certainly moving a lot quicker than I thought. Another couple quick announcements. Franklin Fire Department announced today a $21,000 grant to purchase battery-powered scene lighting and structural firefighting gear to enhance on-scene visibility and improve safety for all of the areas around an actual fire. So congratulations to them. And to Councilor LeBlanc's point earlier, $120,000 for the entire Metro West visitors region. So that's from Framingham, Natick to Marlboro, south to Franklin. It's kind of that Metro West corridor. The Visitor Center, Stacey David, a Franklin resident, by the way, who's the executive director there, put in an application. And I don't think it's any shock to any one of you that all of a sudden when Foxborough got the permit, all of a sudden the dominoes started falling, and all of a sudden the grants started coming out, right? So that really was a big deal. Glad for Foxborough that they got that fixed, and thank you to Corey and the rest of the staff for working on that. That will help pay for the watch parties, which we needed this grant. So the region is prioritizing Framingham, Marlboro, Franklin, which is great to be in that class of communities that are hosting this event. So hopefully over the summer people will be able to have a good time. So that concludes my my town administrator's report. And the budget is an item on the agenda. So if folks have any questions, I can certainly answer this action.
Okay.
And if you don't, there's going to be endless amounts of meetings. So it's up to you.
Any of the councilors have any questions?
No, sir.
It does not. I can't see if you can raise.
It's not. Nope.
All right. Thanks, Max. If I don't, text me, Max. If I don't see your hand, buddy. So, all right. We have no approval of minutes. We're going to open up the 3 hearings because zoning law bylaw amendment 26-946 and zoning bylaw amendment 26-947 and zoning bylaw amendment 26-949 are all together. So I open the hearing for all 3 zoning bylaws. This is 4, but we're going to do, this is different. So this is all, have to do with the MBTA. Yeah.
Thanks,
Jamie, lead in.
So just to be clear, item on the public hearings, items A, B, and D relate to the MBTA community's zoning changes that are required from the state to comply with the statute. These all received a unanimous approval from the town planning board at their hearing a few weeks ago. And what the council will do tonight is just walk through a very short slideshow on MBTA communities from Marina. And then the council will take up those votes. These are first reading. Your second reading, if approved tonight, will be May 13th, so it'll be about a month away. And then the second bylaw proposal is item C, which is basically a cleanup generally around the Franklin Crossing zoning. And then you'll have a second hearing, technically, and a vote on that one after you're done with the meeting. So I just wanted to lay that out there for everybody so it's a little clear. And now, Marina, if you want to take it over and walk through MBTA communities, and we'll be available for questions and public hearing time.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, councilors. Morena Saraya, the Director of Planning and Community Development. So as James just mentioned, we're going to walk through the proposed zoning bylaw amendments related to MBTA communities. Just to give you sort of a quick update or background on Chapter 40A, Section 3A. You'll hear me potentially call it MBTA communities or 3A. It's the same thing. But it was passed and signed into law in 2021 by Governor Charlie Baker, and it requires that all MBTA communities zone for as-of-right multifamily development of at least 15 units per acre, and how many units you have to essentially zone for depends on what type of MBTA community you are. So you've got the list of the different types of MBTA communities up there: rapid transit, commuter rail, an adjacent community, or an adjacent small town. We are a commuter rail community, so we were required to zone for 1,883 units. That doesn't mean that 1,883 units are, going to pop up in the next few years. It just means that we have to zone to allow for them to be by right. We also are required to provide at least a minimum land acres of minimum land area of 50 acres, and 75% of that area has to be within a half a mile around a commuter rail station. So the act, I'm sure people have heard about it a lot in the news. It has been challenged by some towns. It's gone up to the Supreme Judicial Court and was upheld in January of 2025. And a lawsuit claiming it was an unfunded mandate went before the Supreme Court and was dismissed in June of 2025. I know there are still some towns out there that are still trying to fight the act, but every time it's gone up before the courts, it's been struck down. And failure for us to comply with the act puts a lot of funding at risk. So a lot of state funding is contingent on whether or not you're in compliance with MBTA communities. Currently, we are considered to be in conditional compliance, given the proposed amendments that are before you tonight. We were in initial compliance, but because of the proposed amendments, we've moved up in the category to conditional compliance, and they have written us a letter and sort of assured us verbally also that this is it. Once we get these done, as long as we get them done, that we'll move into final compliance. And I just have some stats for you. On the right-hand side, 177 communities are subject to the Act. 166 of them have complied as of March. And the town itself has received $7.9 million worth of state grant funding since 2020. So not all of this money would be sort of in danger, but a decent chunk of it would be in danger if we didn't comply. A lot of grant applications currently are asking you what your status is. So they are tracking it. They are, keeping that in mind when they're awarding funding. So just walking you quickly through.
Just a question. Appreciate the stats that are on the right. Do we have a breakdown of the community, the 166 communities, which ones are additional compliance, which are traditional compliance? And you may have it later, or you may not have it for that, but it'd be great to see kind of that breakdown so we have a better sense of where Franklin sits compared to our peers.
Yeah. There is.
Send them a map.
Yeah.
Right? Is it a map?
There's a map on the HLC website, yeah. And that shows you where everybody lies. But yes, that is publicly available. So quickly, just want to run you through our road to compliance. So just as sort of background, on the right-hand side, you'll see a map. All the colored areas within the map, those are the districts that have been designated by the town to be the MBTA team use districts. So this is an old map from prior to the Crossing neighborhood being developed. So you'll see that Commercial 1 and what is now the Crossing, which is the lower left side pink area, are both the same color. That is now broken out, but the designation as an MBTA use district hasn't changed. These districts already had substantial compliance towards what MBTA communities require. So when Franklin first started working towards becoming compliant, these were chosen for that reason. So everything that's come before the council in the years since we started trying to comply have been these sort of tweaks. There hasn't been any major overhaul. Changes have actually, you'll see in the first bullet, one of the first changes that was made actually decreased the number of units by right that was allowed in Commercial 1 and in General Residential 5. We used to allow for even more density than what we allow now, and we're still complying with MBTA communities. So these were already neighborhoods that are sort of meant to be more dense, meant to promote that multifamily housing, and so we sort of just piggybacked on that.
I think I know the answer, but I just want people out there to think I know what they're saying. So this is where we are now. I know we have 2 commuter rail stations.
Mm-hmm.
So the second commuter rail station up by Forge Park, are we going to have? We don't have to, but people are going to think. I've got a lot of complaints. Are they going to? No. We're going to have to do the same thing up there. And I know it's no, but I want it publicly out there.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the question. But no, we won't, because by coming into compliance using these districts, we'll be in final compliance. So we'll have met our minimum land area, we'll have met our minimum mixed multifamily units that we have to provide. So once we get these done, then we'll be sort of good to go. So before you tonight, we've got some proposed amendments to the zoning bylaw. So on attachment 7, and these, essentially the reason that these are being proposed and these are necessary is because what the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities did is they went sort of parcel by parcel and figured out how many units each parcel could contribute. So they have this very cumbersome Excel sort of formula calculator that you have to just put in all this data. Obviously, with an Excel spreadsheet, I'm sure we're all familiar, you can't account for everything. So as they've reviewed it, sort of more different tweaks have come up, which is what we're proposing here. But essentially, what they discovered, and they discovered this under the previous director, but decided that since he retired, they waited until I had started before approaching us with these changes, necessary changes. What they discovered is that some of our lots no longer produce the necessary number of units because of some of our use table requirements. So that in particular is for attachment 7, there is a requirement that lot area must be 25% greater than that required for a single-family dwelling when it's talking about multifamily and mixed use. So that makes the potential for what lots can become multifamily. It sort of struck a few different parcels, and I've actually got the parcel list. And then for attachment 9, there's confusion because one of the notes reads that multifamily housing with 3 housing units, and that just made it confusing for housing livable communities because they thought that what Note 7 was allowing, or what Note 7 was requiring, actually
only applied to 3 housing units. So even though it said multifamily, it wouldn't apply to anything that was larger. So they, and then we also had to set a minimum frontage requirement for 50 feet for mixed use and multifamily. Again, that made it so that a lot of the lots that were there that wouldn't be complying ended up complying. So we were able to use, they were able to produce the number of units that HLC was requiring. And then for zoning bylaw amendment 26-949, that one goes into attachment 9, and that one specifically for an addition is we're changing the minimum. Oh, sorry, let me just bring up the minimum lot width to 45 feet for mixed use and multifamily dwellings for general residential 5, and also that's the same minimum continuous frontage of 50 feet for mixed use and multifamily. So with these changes, and then I won't go into number 4 since we'll go into that later on. Those are sort of the cleanup amendments. They do affect some of the MBTA communities districts, but they're not specifically related to the act. Apologies. So I can go sort of cell by cell here if you'd like. We have here, we're showing you sort of where the notes were struck from the districts that are affected. And I can't pull this up. So this is the lot area must be at least 25% greater. So you'll see that note 2 was struck in general residential 5 and C1. And then here we've got the 2, oh, that's very small, I'm sorry. Can't see that. But this is adding in the notes, the 16 and 17 about the minimum frontage and the minimum lot width for the mixed use and the multifamily. And this is the actual language, and it's also striking the language about the 3 housing units. I know that was a lot. So I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has.
We'll go to the council.
Great. I saw that our requirements were 50 acres and 1,883 multifamily units. We submitted 102. But we submitted 1,955 units. But they only approved 1,740, so technically we're under their requirement right now. So I guess the first thing is what 200 plus units did we submit that they're not saying now is applicable?
So those, the downtown commercial district is part of the districts that have been submitted, but those are a separate mandatory mixed use district. So it was an allowance made by Housing and Livable Communities after the act was first signed into law, and those units are sort of kept separate. For whatever reason, they're still counted towards our minimum, but they just treat them separately because it's a mandatory mixed use. So that's where those units sort of went. So even though it's not really showing it in the letter as in the letter from Housing and Livable Communities that you're referencing, they are still counted. They do exist, and I know it gets confusing. It's just because they break it out because it's a mandatory mixed use.
So we have met the requirement?
We have met the requirement, yes.
Okay.
I know. I know.
Don't tell us that we didn't meet the requirement, then in the letter, that was the more confusing. And you already answered the...
Wait, I should say, sorry, with the proposed amendments, we are meeting the requirements. Tonight, yes. Of what we need to do.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And I was just going to ask him that it doesn't help us or hurt us that we have two MBTA stations in town.
They took that into account.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Any other councilors?
Thank you. Thank you for doing this, just to clarify. I read 10 times, 10 different answers every time. Just help me with the minimum lot size, 45 feet versus 50 feet. What was it, what is it now, and where would that apply? Trying to get a sense of what actually means.
So for the, are you talking the frontage?
Yes.
Okay, so for general residential 5, currently the frontage is 100 feet and the lot width is 90 feet. Essentially what that does is, one, there's actually a number of parcels in that area that don't meet those minimum lot size requirements already. So one, they don't get counted, even though there's actually a decent number of 4 to 8 unit buildings in that area. They end up not being counted by the calculator the HLC created because they're not big enough.
Because they don't meet our current standards?
They don't meet MBTA standards, yes. And so they, or I should say, yes, I'm sorry. So they don't meet our current standards, so they're out of compliance and they can't be made compliant unless we change what's allowed for multifamily in those, for those.
So we have to allow more density.
Yes.
And it would allow existing facilities.
It allows the existing facilities to be compliant and it allows for future multifamily at a higher density. Yeah.
Can we say front, for instance, that's the front area?
Yep.
45 feet or 50 feet?
45. No, I'm sorry, the frontage is 50 and the lot width is 45.
That's pretty reasonable. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So they could get rid of, people could join together and get rid of houses and then just build stuff, is what you're saying, right? Because this is a highly dense area right downtown, right?
You're saying they could combine?
Yeah, they could if they wanted to, but
Yeah, I think through you, Mr. Chairman, I mean, you're going to see that likely over the next 10 or 15 years. You're going to see a couple smaller lots torn down. I would say this, though, when the council first took up MBTA use, you had 20 units per acre.
yeah.
So you actually, the first vote, we were already 90+% compliant with the statute when they put it through, which is why this has been a tedious process in the state. And some of this just seems like it's an algorithm and spreadsheet pumping out some of these tweaks. So, but we used to have greater density.
Right.
GR5. But when you guys voted the first, and look at the picture of them, when they voted the first wave of tweaks when the law was put out, we actually went and de-densified the amount of units you get per acre. So even though a tear down series could happen, it's still fewer units and less dense than what it was 3 years ago, which sounds funny because to your point, the state's trying to obviously cluster things around transit centers, which is a great thing. But Franklin zoning was actually had more density 6 years ago. I hope that eases some of the concerns.
No, I just
who
my first house
think we're getting too dense, right, or too big, or too developed.
I built my first house on 42 by 100. I had fun with it. I was a 6 kid. Sure, go ahead.
This is just more of a clarifying, especially for people that are watching. So all this passes and goes into effect. It doesn't require a single family home that's already existing to make changes. It simply says if down the road that person decided to make it bigger or sell it to the next person, they have the option to make it bigger. It's not there's no like financial burden to people that live in these districts, so we're not requiring them to do anything extra, spend any money. You know, I think these people,
Yeah, I know you're right.
watching might be like, wait a minute, what does all this mean, and, you know, what's it gonna cost us, right? So it's just nice to just clarify.
It's actually helpful to some of the property owners down there that might be out of compliance currently with the zoning. It's bringing them into compliance, it's making a lot of these lots be compliant.
It is testing.
Yeah.
Max, I can't see if he has his hand up. Julie, just tell me if he has his hand up, because I can't,
Yeah, we'll look
can't
at it.
see.
It's hard to see sometimes.
Mr. Chairman, it comes down to, you know,
Max is, then I'll go to the public.
I just had a question in regards to, you know, assuming, in your view as a public planner, you know, in terms of, if there was, let's assume there wasn't public housing. If you were to, where in town, out of all the places in town, you say that downtown is the best place to have slightly more dense developments compared to other parts of town, if you had to choose, you know, whole downtown as a whole?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, these areas, these districts have specifically been chosen historically by Franklin to be the more dense neighborhoods, to be the areas where you've got a lot of commercial business here. You want sort of the people, residents living here, residents being able to just walk to the restaurants, walk to a bar, go to the grocery store. And then having it close to the commuter rail, you know, encouraging more use of public transit, having those, being able to densify these neighborhoods as they've been intended to be densified, I think is a good goal to have.
And in terms of, like, you know, the average taxpayer, talk about the parking of town, that kind of thing, that losing that grant fund, you say that the average taxpayer would be harmed if we were to not be in compliance with the MBTA Community Act?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got, like I said earlier, we've had $7.9 million worth of state grant funding since 2020. Obviously, that's $7.9 million that taxpayers in this town have not had to pay. So that right there, you know, there's been lots of public works. There's been the Franklin Ridge project has received state funding. These are all things that are a benefit to the community. So, you know, sort of achievable.
So you would think that this legislation before us would be a huge public benefit?
Yes, definitely.
You all set, Max?
I'm all set.
You're okay, buddy. Then I'll go to the public. Is there anybody else in the public here who'd like to speak? We're in Zoom land out there?
No, not so.
So I'll declare the,
Oh, Mark, did you have your hand up?
no, he just wanted me to make sure that I went. All right, so I'll declare the public hearing for zoning bylaw amendment 26-946 and 26-947 and 26-949 closed.
So I'll have to read each one and do a roll call vote on each one, correct?
You can still do a motion and waive, and you'll have to have a roll call vote on that.
So I'll start it off. Zoning bylaw amendment 26-946, zoning bylaw amendment to the code of the town of Franklin at chapter 185, attachment 7, part 6, use regulation schedule, first reading. Clerk will read the zoning bylaw.
Motion to waive the reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote on the reading.
Councilor Juju?
Yes.
Councilor Morangelo?
Yes.
Councilor Malloy?
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc?
Yes.
Councilor Griffith?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Councilor Gullo?
Yes.
And Chair.
Yes. Motion to waive the meeting passed.
Motion to move zoning bylaw amendment 26-946 to second reading.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? No discussion? Clerk will roll call vote.
Reading, and now, Mr. Chairman, we're going to zoning bylaw amendment 26-946. Roll call vote to move it to a second reading.
Correct.
Councilor Richard.
Yes.
Councilor Morangelo.
Yes.
Councilor Malloy.
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc.
Yes.
Councilor Griffith.
Yes.
Councilor Treacher's absent. Myself is a yes. Vice Chair.
Yes.
And Chair.
Yes. Motion passed. Moving on, zoning bylaw amendment 26-947, a zoning bylaw amendment to the code of the town of Franklin at chapter 185, attachment 9, schedule of lot area, frontage, yard, and height requirements. Clerk will read the bylaw amendment.
Motion to waive the reading.
I have a motion and a second. Clerk will call the roll. I'll slow it down.
1947.
Correct.
Revisit those. So this is a roll call vote to waive the reading?
To waive the
Correct?
reading, yes.
Okay. Councilor Juju?
Yes.
Councilor Morangelo?
Yes.
Councilor Malloy?
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc?
Yes.
Councilor Griffith?
Yes. Yes.
Councilor Treacher's absent. Myself, yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
And Chairman.
Yes. Motion passed.
Motion to move zoning bylaw amendment 26-947 to second reading.
I have a motion and a second. Clerk will call the roll.
This is, Mr. Chairman, this is for bylaw amendment 26-947 to move to a second. Councilor Juju?
Yes.
Councilor Morangelo?
Yes.
Councilor Malloy?
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc?
Yes.
Councilor Griffith?
Yes.
Councilor Treacher's absent. Myself is a yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
And Chair?
Yes. Okay, so we're going to the zoning bylaw amendment 26-949, zoning bylaw amendment to the code of the town of Franklin, chapter 185, attachment 9, schedule of lot area requirement. This is the first reading. Clerk will-
Motion to waive the reading. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Clerk will read will do the roll call on the motion to waive the reading. I'm slowing down as much as I can.
Keep up that.
Mr. Chairman, this is to waive the reading on resolution 26-949. Councilor Juju?
Yes.
Councilor Morangelo?
Yes, I have a question. Yes.
Councilor Malloy?
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc?
Yes.
Councilor Griffith?
Yes.
Councilor Callaway Treacher's absent. Myself is a yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
And Chair?
Yes. Motion passed.
Motion to move zoning bylaw amendment 26-949 to a second reading.
Oh,
Yeah, he's going to. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Max?
No, I just wanted to clarify, we need a public hearing on each one individually, because we only had one public hearing.
No,
No.
there is a bundle, Max.
Okay.
That's why we didn't do C next. We're going to do C next.
This is a baby.
I have a motion and a second on bylaw amendment 26-949. Clerk will read the roll call.
Mr. Chairman, this is for resolution 26-949 to move to a second reading.
bylaw amendment.
Bylaw.
Motion to bylaw amendment 26-949 to move to a second reading. Councilor Jujuk?
Yes.
Councilor Marangelo?
Yes.
Councilor Malloy?
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc?
Yes.
Councilor Griffith? Absent, myself is a yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
And Chair?
Yes. Motion passed. Okay, now we'll go back to C, the public hearing. I'll declare the public hearing open on zoning bylaw amendment 26-948, zoning bylaw amendment to the Code of Town of Franklin at Chapter 185, use regulation schedule attachment 2, attachment 3, attachment 4, attachment 7, and attachment 8. I declare the hearing open. Lead in there, kid.
So the amendments that are before you, or proposed amendments that are before you now, are generally cleanup amendments. So these came up as we were doing the MBTA communities amendments. We realized that with the previous submissions that created the crossing neighborhood district and created the allowance for residential commercial kitchens, we had been using either old tables in those submissions, or the tables we've been using had future proposed bylaw amendments. So we just wanted, essentially a lot of these are to correct the record, to go back to what the existing zoning was, or to add zoning where it's missing for the crossing neighborhood. So this is going to get into a little bit of minutia. I apologize, and it's a little bit hard to see up on the screen. But the first one before you tonight is for amendment or attachment 2. I'm sorry, and here the option for a parcel with poultry, a parcel under 5 acres with poultry. This poultry line was missing from the crossing neighborhood submission when the district was created. So there's no zoning allowance for it. There's nothing on that use. The cell is just blank. And so we are proposing that we just match what's in commercial 1. As I mentioned earlier, the crossing neighborhood was essentially carved out of commercial 1. So a lot of the zoning that we propose in this these amendments just matches what's in commercial 1, just to keep the similarities between the two. So this one is to not allow for poultry in parcels under 5 acres. The next attachment before you is attachment 3, and here, I've got to find it. Here we had in previous submission, this note 6, not allowed on sidewalk level in multifamily development, should have been called to the planning board's attention and to the council's attention because it was being struck, but it was not bolded. So this is sort of just creating the record that the note was struck. We do agree that with the previous submission that it should be struck. We just want to sort of create that record to show when it happened, because currently we don't really see the movement when you look through the history of the zoning bylaw changes. So we're just calling attention to that. For attachment 4, we've got a couple of changes here. So here you'll see that in, and I'm just going to go through the district. So for right here, you'll see all of these bolded boxes. If you look on the use tables online right now, they're blank. So these were going to be proposed amendments that should not have been part of the previous submissions, but because, again, they were sort of struck and included, they were removed from the use table. So right now they're empty. We're just putting back what was there before, so disallowing all of these uses. And it doesn't make any changes, it just sort of memorializes that nothing has changed. And then here, we've also got some changes that happened inadvertently. So these two, I'm trying to get this, both so that you can see it, but also see what districts are affected. So for the industrial district and the light industrial district, these were changed inadvertently. Again, these were part of the submission and they shouldn't have been part of it. So we're just putting it back to needing a planning board special permit for medium scale solar energy systems and in the industrial, I'm sorry, I said the wrong district. It's business district is for planning board special permit for medium scale solar, and in the industrial district, it's allowed by right for medium scale solar. So again, just putting what should have been, or should, what was there back.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Because this actually came up on the ground-mounted solar. So I realize that solar energy is by right in Massachusetts, but is there any like sort of best practice or recommendation or maybe requirement to talk to a neighbor before you construct one of these gigantic structures, or is it just allowed?
So I think I'm going to defer to Mark.
So it depends where they're proposing to put it, if it complies with setbacks, or it's going to be on something that sets back a requisite amount. You may not need any kind of approvals at all. There's been Chapter 40A, Section 3, which is the original zoning exclusions, includes solar and wind, largely protected as of right, as you said. There's been some court decisions at the higher levels, which has expanded that. It's a public policy thing, set at the state level. So it's pretty much as of right, unless it's an extreme situation. And we do have dimensional requirements, which when we adopted solar, back when Brian Tappert was still the head, we went through at that time, because that's when the focus really was. And the focus really was on the large-scale projects, where they would be, on the one hand, that they not end up in residential, but on the other hand, that there'd be enough area that we wouldn't have our zoning nullified. So we set a balance on those, and then we tried to restrict it more when it came down to the areas where it didn't seem to be either that they had the space or that it was consistent with the character, like a largely residential community.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. If all of you looked at the second row up from the bottom, under medium scale, you'll see footnotes 8 and 10. But if you look over to the use chart, you'll see PV, 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 N7, N7, and PV, so forth. The only allowable district where that's by right is industrial. So for residential neighborhoods, most of these smaller scale solar ground mounted facilities actually require special permit from anything. So that's like a check and balance. If you're talking about neighbors in residential areas, it's not a given that they'll get it. And if you notice down in the footnote, for some of the more dense areas, or GR5, where it has an N there, where it's not allowed, it is only allowed as an accessory to another permitted use. So that's really where you get into. They're really, obviously small scale solar you can see is a Y across the board in residential districts, but then when you get to large scale, it's all N, which is not allowed. And that medium-sized one does have some constraints. So Mark's point about setbacks, about a variety of other property use requirements, a medium-scale ground-mounted facility for solar panel like that is not going to be something that's very large. and it's not even guaranteed that it would ever get approved in a residential district without a special permit from the planning board. So those residents, I hope neighbors would be neighborly, let their neighbors know what their intentions are before it has to all come still out on camera at a planning board meeting and get hot, really, and then get like chippy and litigious and whatever. But there are protections in here for those residential homeowners with that special permit criteria for a meeting scale. So that should be enough, check and balance for at least any neighbor that wants to put in something larger. I hope that helps.
And also, the focus, again, is ground mounted. This does not address roof installations or installations on other structures at all, so.
Yeah, I only asked because of
Again, for the benefit of those
particular piece of property in town that, the neighbor wasn't notified, and the structure is quite large, right next to the home. And, I would like to think neighbors would be neighborly, Jamie, right? But that doesn't always happen.
No.
And, I don't know if there's a way, maybe not with this bylaw, but maybe something for the planning board to think about going down the road is maybe we require a fence, or we require, if you're gonna do that and approve it, you gotta put some large arborvitaes or something, some sort of barrier. So the neighbor, when at one time they're looking out on a beautiful garden, the next time they're looking out on a giant solar field next to the house. It's not really fair, but I understand. So there's by right, and there's not a lot we can do about it, but I'm just trying to look out for, the people of Franklin who are like, how does something like this happen? Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
I actually have a question, because I've been getting a lot of phone calls on, does this affect cell phone towers at all?
Cell phone tower has nothing to do with cell phone tower.
No.
Cell phone towers are regulated by the federal government.
And also pretty much as of right.
As of right.
Yeah.
Well, but that's just.
Hold on, Max.
Hold on, Max.
Is that an issue about Councilor?
Yes, I've been getting a lot of phone calls about the people down on Raymond Street, and I kind of didn't have any answer for them. That's why I kind of wanted to bring it up. But
There's nothing in our code, well, we have an antiquated cell bylaw that we hope to update later to conform to federal laws. Obviously the one on Pond Street is kind of hurt that, which is just tough to get, but ultimately it's essentially by right.
That's what I said to them, but
it's really, it's very, very hard. Kind of like liquor license, it's very hard to stop. It's possible, but it's very hard. Go ahead.
So the burden of the Telecommunications Act, which is a federal legislation, is that if the wireless provider shows a significant gap in coverage, then they're entitled to address it. And you can mitigate to some degree in terms of, again, fencing, visuals, and things like that, but they're going to ultimately probably be allowed to do it.
No, that's what I thought. Max?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question regarding, so some people who know me know I have looked at projects trying to bring our age factor and make our downtown a little more family friendly. And I know that the last council, they changed one of the wires and around point operated using these devices to allow that in the downtown crossing district. But I also am aware that there's a separate bylaw in addition to the wires that completely ban arcades. And so, is that, first off, does this amendment change the arcade after the previous council? And two, is that bylaw still has to be appealed so they don't
That would be my.
We have addressed options for revising that bylaw. It's a definition, as I recall, sets a certain number. That certainly can be amended, but that's not what's in front of you tonight. You're basically taking what exists as permitted uses or specially permitted uses, whatever, not creating any definitions.
So I just want to clarify, because I think the previous council changed the allowed uses for arcades for the downtown crossing district. So is that, if this is being changed, is that currently, are those two bylaws in conflict with each other currently? Regardless of how we vote?
I don't know what it says for arcades, I can't read it.
The allowance for arcades, that's not being changed tonight. That was something that the council did for Crossing Neighborhood. I am not, I will say not familiar, I can't call it off the top of my head, the arcade bylaw. So I would have to look to see how that actually reads.
There's a number of units that you have the coin-operated amusement devices, and they're not addressed. You can have a couple perhaps, but if you go over a certain number, then you meet the definition of an arcade, and then it's regulated by the zoning bylaw, and in any case, it's not allowed.
And just to close the loop, we can talk about this offline, Councilor Morandello, but there was one person who was possibly looking at a vintage style arcade, and I'm not sure that party is interested in that anymore. We did meet with them at tech review, and it seemed like there were some other issues with their proposed idea of project about commercial kitchens. They wanted a restaurant. Like, I don't remember every single little detail, but we haven't heard back from that proponent in a while. So if you have a contact, you can certainly get looped in again and see if they're still interested. There was a little more to it than just an arcade. There's a little bit more to it than just like allowing an arcade game.
No, and thank you, Councilor. I think that we will probably have a few more sort of cleanup amendments coming towards you all. The wireless bylaw we're working on right now to bring it into compliance. So there might be a couple of amendments, coming down the pipe. So I'll look into this one, and if we need to address it, then we can sort of take advantage with the next round of cleanups.
Yeah, it's funny, I picked up on the solar as well. I think one of the things we should do, not tonight, but as we say, clean up, we should define what is small scale, medium scale, and large scale. Like small scale is 300 square feet, medium scale is 300 to 700. Because I do not, anywhere there where it talks about light, medium, heavy, those are very ambiguous terms. We should be
There's a definition section, but it's obviously zoning, and I know this is it's not like zoning is all perfectly organized. There's a whole section of definition should do. We'll send it around.
As long as there's a definition that's satisfied. Because they don't see it, I'm thinking.
No, it's not on the.
Because I see it in other places, it said 5,000 square feet, more than 5,000, so that's all. So, yeah, thank you.
All right, are you done?
No, a couple more attachments.
Keep going.
All right, so this one, just to sort of clarify, this combines the MBTA community use changes and this C changes 948. So you can sort of see what it would all look like together. So for the current proposed amendments, we have, the Crossing Neighborhood submission didn't include as part of the mixed-use development, which is a big missing ticket for Crossing Neighborhood. So we're just adding it into the table, and then it is currently blank. So we are proposing the same that exists for Commercial 1, which is allowing it. My own submission earlier this year to you all inadvertently didn't include the Crossing Neighborhood because I was using the residential kitchen submission. I am adding it back in here and then again just matching it to C1. And then one of the amendments that was meant to be proposed in, I want to say residential commercial kitchens, which is 6.3 B in commercial 1, which is changing it from special permit from the ZBA to an allowed use, wasn't clearly reflected in that submission. So just here creating the record, it's already sort of in the bylaws, but creating that record of the change. And almost done. Here, the submission for the Crossing Neighborhood Districts did not include residential commercial kitchens. These two changes, the amendments came through essentially at the same time. So we're just adding in some regs on the allowed use, and so we're matching that again to C1 to commercial 1. Here we are striking this note that refers to, just refers folks back to the accessory structure section of the bylaw. It's not necessary. So we're just, that was included in the submission for the Crossing Neighborhood, but wasn't called out. So calling it out now. And I believe that's it. Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Agricultural with poultry?
Yeah,
Because, I mean, to me, poultry is the aftermath. That's what you buy at the store. We're really saying we're letting people have chickens.
We're letting people have chickens, yes.
Like if they want them for eggs or they want to raise them for future slaughter, either one.
Or as pets.
Or pets, right? But they have, I know there's rules around containment and,
Yes.
all of that, and noise and the rooster and all that stuff, but that's what we're essentially talking about.
Yes, yeah.
Any other questions?
I wanted just to back off that. So it looks like we're saying that in attachment 2, we're saying that under 5 acres in the Crossing neighborhood, they can't have chickens, right? Do we know if there's anyone over there on a lot that's under 5 acres who has chicken that we are now saying they cannot be?
Maybe grandfather.
Yeah.
It would be, okay. All right, good then. All right. And that's
That's kind of what my question was. I do know.
Or whatever the term is that's in now, you can do with that.
But that was my question, because I know there's something that has chicken that has.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we weren't making anyone get over there.
No.
The chickens are safe.
So, if there's no other questions from the council, I'll go to the public. Are there any questions? Public, Zoom land? That's it. All right, so I'll declare the public meeting for zoning bylaw amendment 26-948 closed. Legislation for action, zoning bylaw amendment 26-948, a zoning bylaw amendment to the code of the town of Franklin at chapter 185, use regulations schedule attachment 2, attachment 3, attachment 4, attachment 7, and attachment 8. First is the first reading. Clerk will read the reading.
Motion to waive the reading.
Second. All right, I have a motion and a second. Clerk will call roll call on the motion.
This is a motion to waive the reading for bylaw number 26-948. Councilor Rizzuto.
Yes.
Councilor Marangelo.
Yes.
Councilor Malloy.
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc. Councilor Griffith. Councilor Callaway Tripp is absent. Myself, yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
And Chairman.
Yes.
Motion to move zoning bylaw amendment 26-948 to a second reading.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Discussion? Clerk will read.
This is to move it to a second, correct? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a motion to move to a second reading bylaw amendment 26-948. The roll call, Councilor Duku?
Yes.
Councilor Morangella?
Yes.
Councilor Malloy?
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc? Yes. Councilor Griffith?
Yes.
Councilor Calvin Church is absent. Myself is a yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Chairman?
Yes. Motion passes.
Thank you.
You done?
Thank you.
You can stay if you want.
I'm all set.
Talking solar, talking chicken.
All right, moving on, legislation for action. Zoning bylaw amendment 26-950, bylaw amendment to the Code of Franklin, Town of Franklin, at Chapter 139, Section 139-14, sewer system map. This is the first reading. You wanna-
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Items E and F are both intertwined with the same issue. One's a sewer map and then the public sewer connection, and one's a water map. Just for background, these require a first reading and a second reading, so they require 2 votes. So if approved tonight, the second vote will be on May 13th. The proponents are here tonight, I think represented by Attorney Panetta, and Mike Maglio, our town engineer, is here to answer any questions. There's just by standard process, so everybody knows, when folks work with the DPW, after a planning board subdivision approval or house lot approval, A&R lot, whatever they may be, they typically work with the DPW. We all get a comment feedback letter from the town staff on what exactly is going on, just so they're all in the background information from town staff. So that letter is incorporated in here. That's the standard practice. And I'll just leave it to maybe the attorney or Ian, I don't know if you guys want to come up, just to answer any questions.
Mike, if you want to come up and give us a little background, please.
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the applicant is applying for a water and sewer extension for a proposed pilot subdivision on Union Street. It's gone to the planning board, but approved already. So they're looking for water and sewer map amendments. We met with the applicant a number of times over the past couple of months in addition to fire department proposal. With their, one of the issues that we're having is that section of Union Street in front of the proposal is going to go with a 6-inch cast iron pipe there, terrible pipe. And so as we were looking at that and working with the developer, we came up with a plan for them to replace maybe 50 feet or so of that existing main with a 12-inch main, which will eventually be upgraded the rest of that main in the future. And then we configure the connection with the drivers immediately across the street. So in the end, they're going to be basically, you configure all the water pipe and the element in front of the development to which you're connecting to. The value of the work that they're doing to about $60,000, which will save town network in the future. We'll place that ourselves. In addition to that, we're also contribute another $35,000 on top of that, which will be used by DPW future system improvements and in that area or elsewhere around town. So for a value of about $95,000, the council contributing to the DPW for cash donation, we'll get those improvements done there, and we feel that's significant value for the town. And then working with the fire department also allows them to provide the necessary fire protection on the subdivision too. So the fire department's happy with that. The applicants are any other questions, but in addition to that, they still need the regular processes and file the applicable permits and the fees to go with that, in addition to what they're contributing. Yeah. Any questions?
Questions?
So, like, septic is not able to be done on these sites?
They could be. I mean, there was an option. They got approved by the planning board. So one of the things that we're going to look at getting is septic and private wells. But then there's the issue of fire protection. Firefighter really wanted to see hydrants and fire protection for that development. So by working with the developer, we came up with this plan to make it work and to provide my contribution to make it worthwhile for the town to actually allow them to do that.
And actually, that was my next question. Do we have a formula? Have we ever come up with a formula as it relates to this? I mean, like for every lot that you're getting out of this, you're going to pay $20,000 as
this. We don't have a list. This is formula, but this is in line with the past couple of map amendments that basically valid from per house. We had one Simpson Drive maybe a few months ago. They're going to the process now. It was just for 2 lots. They ended up, they agreed to, I don't know, it was about $30,000 for 2 lots. Basically, some booster pump station pump upgrades. So we do something we needed up there. They agreed to pay that, and that kind of provided benefit to the system. So what we've been doing is we've been doing this for a lot of years now. So it's changed over the years, but this is in line with what we recently saying.
I mean, I'd like to see us come up with a more standard approach to this. I don't know if Mark's going to raise his hand and say he can't, because I sort of see it go up. I saw his hand go up, and I'm like, well, maybe we can't do that. Because I would like to see kind of a more standard. I mean, you're talking about the person who wants to grow economic development, so I don't want to stifle it, but at the same time, if there is a formula as it relates to remediation, like someone's taking 1 lot and being able to build 7 lots, I'd like to say, okay, it's $25,000 per lot or something like that. So that way there is it's not an arbitrary. I mean, to your point, it's probably been fairly consistent, but I would like to see us come up with a formula for that. Because again, I'm not trying to stifle development, but at the same time, I'd like to put some money into the coffer so that way it's kind of planned. Because a lot of these little subdivisions are coming up. There's one off of Partridge Street that's coming up. So all these things should have some guidance around it. So
Big one coming off of King, too.
a big one coming off of King, correct? So there should be some. I'd like to see a formula around that, so it's just not arbitrary. That's all. Thank you.
Mark, you had your hand.
So this was an attempt by earlier councils to address runaway development. And basically, what was proposed was to basically freeze existing public utility, water and sewer. And in order to extend mains, not the individual services, but the mains that are usually the street, a developer would have to satisfy certain specified criteria in the bylaws. There's 2 separate bylaws, but they're kind of parallel. And then, if they're unable to meet those specific criteria to extend, there's a catch-all that allows more flexibility so that on an individual basis, as Mike has suggested, he can work with the developer for a win-win situation. So it's not intended to open up vast areas of the town for water and sewer. I mean, if you can either do a well or a septic anyway, it doesn't apply really. So this is kind of a default situation, either because it's bad soils or whatever. And in the case of water, the fire department will tell you that from a public safety standpoint, there really needs to be more flexibility to extend the water rather than a well, because when you're talking firefighting, you need that capacity. So anyway, it's basically to extend the existing system short distances or to pick up lots here and there or a few lots. It's not intended to service an entire subdivision. Because as I said, it's to the extent the state will permit you to regulate growth and development, it was an attempt to do so.
I'm good. Sorry. I thought I said it was good.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, you got a question.
I'm for this, just, just,
Mike, can you just, for the purposes of the public, tell us where on Union Street this is being proposed?
Sure, this is 543 Union Street. This is, you may know, the blueberry farm out there. So one of the, there's two separate properties. One of the property owners sold the farm to the developer, and the developer's looking at that, and he already has the subdivision already approved by the planning board.
Just so everybody knows, when we say subdivision, we're talking single-family homes?
He's looking at 5 single-family homes.
Okay. So from a purely value standpoint, worth more money tied to sewer and water to town than the septic anyway. So it makes more sense for everybody to make that happen, because the developer will get more money for those homes, the town will get more money when they get assessed. So that's all good. My question, I know you guys have done this a million times, but to keep it sort of fair and consistent and keep the checks and balances, the DPW hires the companies that do work to the town, and the company is simply paying as a fee to the town.
Not necessarily.
Or is the developer hiring the company to do the work and then offsetting that somehow?
So in this case, the developer will be hiring a contractor to do the water line work in Union Street. We met with them, met with the contractor, know the contractor, I've never worked with him before, so I'm comfortable with the contractor, I work with that's happening. And then the cash contribution on top of that. Some cases is another time in the past, assuming that where the developer might have made a cash contribution, and you went out and hired someone. But this is easy, it's probably more economical for the developer, doesn't have to pay a prevailing wage. So it kind of helps in that situation too. We'll have inspectors help us, so we will always see where our car is.
That's what I'd like to hear. And the cash contribution, Jackie, that's fees?
Goes into the water sewer fund.
Oh, okay.
The retainer. But it'll get all reinvested, because as Mike said, you know, when you charge fees like that, whether it's a permit fee or a contribution or whatever, that stuff, that money has to go dedicated towards things, which makes sense. I mean, I don't think anybody's disagreeing with it, you know, but they're coming into a public system that might need some bolts fixed or some pipe fixed or maybe some analysis done on that area of town. We've been very successful over the years where a lot of the projects that have been done, you know, usually entail this kind of a thing. So we try to look at that support in the system and say, that section of Union Street, can this money go to some of the work to better that area? And usually that's what happens. So, you know, it doesn't go to free cash, just for anybody watching at home. It can't go into capital, but it will go into capital sewer and capital water into that infrastructure up in that area.
And we have a fairly old infrastructure system on that part of town anyway, so it's kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a great Union Street is a little, yeah. So whether you use there or something nearby or something I need, but as an example, I mentioned one in Driver, actually, you know, those roads you go out, new pumps, the water booster pump station, that's in that name. So that's something you would do anyway, so that's what I was sort of
Yeah, it's a total win-win. My last question, Mike, does this open up opportunities for any abutters that are not tied into town water and sewer to maybe have that option to tie in?
No, this is just a section of the subdivision. I'm pretty sure, I don't want to exactly, I'm pretty sure that's right. I'm not so it's a pretty sure.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I think, Mac.
Mr. Chairman?
Sorry.
Go ahead, Max, if you want.
I gotta get up my 4 questions for tonight. So I want to ask, I just want from my understanding, when the senior center has a gift or a cash contribution, it comes to the council to be approved, and it's the same thing for the library. Why is the DPW different than the cash contribution?
This isn't a gift.
So it's not a...
Essentially a mitigation, if you want to think of it like that.
That's all I have.
And it's also isolated to, state laws around enterprise funds, whereas you're right, Max, a gift, about $1,000 from the Rough Riders to the Veterans Fund, legally has to come.
Yeah, and this isn't specifically about this, I am for this, but I want to ask, Mark, you said that this is not meant to allow for large subdivisions. Do you know where that line is between, a couple of houses, you can have a member of this and a big subdivision? Do you have
Well, again, it depends specifically proposed project and the proximity, the infrastructure we already have. So if sewer water is going by an unimproved, a large unimproved parcel, then they're probably going to be able to just hook in. That's not going to trigger an extension. And the key is main, which are the bigger pipes that are servicing multiple properties. So wherever those in, or wherever manholes or connections in, that's what determines it. And again, when the bylaw was drafted in the first place, they provided a mechanism, a logical mechanism, they hope, by providing specific stated criteria for being able to extend as is right. And if you didn't meet those criteria, then there is the catch-all term that more often than not, we apply for properties that are just beyond an existing main or whatever, and this give and take that Mike's explained in this case, it hopefully produces a win-win.
So I hope I may be able to synthesize that. It's not a unique account. If you had this application coming down Prospect Street, you can't mandate that all of a sudden now you have to run a pipe from Washington all the way up Prospect to hit somebody with applying. So if somebody came in from Prospect Street and applied, even for 5 units, right, we wouldn't be able to do that. They're not required to do that. And that's to Mark's point earlier about controlling growth, is that there's not water mains throughout the entire town. In this case, the line in Sand is the entire area already has water sewer. This part's been left off. This is a fairly easy connection to make. And it doesn't require us to go install a whole other road of an extension somewhere. So I don't know if that was more directly to your question, but it's not like 5 units trigger something or 10 units. Oh, then you go over. It's not a unit base. It's really more of a geographical.
Logistics.
It's more of a logistics than geographical.
Okay, thank you.
Couldn't have said it better.
Any more discussion? Moving on. We have a motion in a second. It's been so long. Start. I think we just discussed. So, bylaw amendment 26-950, a bylaw amendment to the code of the town of Franklin, chapter 139, section 139-14, sewer system map. This is the first reading. Clerk will read the
Motion to waive reading.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Clerk will take the vote, the roll call vote.
I started. Okay, Mr. Chairman, this is a motion to waive the reading for bylaw amendment 26-950, the roll call vote. Councilor Juju?
Yes.
Councilor Morangella?
Yes.
Councilor Malloy?
Yes.
Councilor LaPlante?
Yes.
Councilor Griffith?
Yes.
Councilor Calhoun Church is absent, myself is a yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
And Juju?
Yes.
Motion to move bylaw amendment 26-950 to a second reading.
Second.
The motion and second, discussion.
There's a typo on the number on the top, I just realized. Somebody put on the bylaw amendment, the line says 25.
Should be 26.
That would be the second reading.
Okay, that was for 26-950, right?
Yeah. So do we have to make an amendment?
No, just somebody correct.
We'll just correct it.
Correct the second reading.
For the second reading. So I have a motion and a second. Clerk will call the roll.
Is this a motion to send it to a second reading?
Yes. Mike.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, this is a motion to send bylaw amendment 26-950 to a second reading, and the roll call vote. Councilor Juku?
Yes.
Councilor Morangella?
Yes.
Councilor Malloy?
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc? Yes. Councilor Griffin? Kelly Richard is absent, myself is a yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
And Chair?
Yes. Motion passed. Moving on, bylaw amendment 26-951, a bylaw amendment to the code of the town of Franklin at chapter 179, section 179-9.1, water system map. This is the first reading. Clerk will read the
Motion to waive the reading.
Second.
motion and second. Well, that's, oh, we definitely is.
Thanks, Max.
We could have A1 doing this by next month, you know, AI rather.
Have the eye request
Also, the joint meeting will call me next meeting. I was planning on joining. There are a lot of members.
No, we'll make sure.
You'll be in a bad coverage area in Florida on that. So this is to
Waive the reading, yeah.
We're on 26-951. Okay, Mr. Chairman, this is a motion to waive the reading for bylaw amendment 26-951 and the roll call as follows. Councilor Juju?
Yes.
Councilor Morangella?
Yes.
Councilor Malloy?
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc?
Yes.
Councilor Griffin?
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Richards is absent, myself is a yes. Councilor Carlisle?
Yes.
Councilor Dorothy?
Yes. Motion passed.
Motion to move bylaw amendment 26-951 to a second reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? No discussion? Clerk will read the roll call vote to move bylaw amendment 26-951 to a second reading. Trying to slow it down just a little bit.
This is speed reading. It's about 50 motions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a motion to move to a second reading bylaw amendment 26-951 and the roll call vote. Councilor Juku?
Yes.
Councilor Morangella?
Yes.
Councilor Malloy?
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc?
Yes.
Councilor Griffin?
Yes.
Absent, myself, yes. Councilor Carlisle?
Yes.
And Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Oh.
Motion. Good luck. Thank you.
Hopefully it goes faster than you go.
Yeah. Okay, moving on, we're gonna do future agenda items. Council Malloy.
I think we have that going on.
Yeah, I think so. Council Juku. Council Griffin.
Just a letter to the Atlanta Town.
Yeah, we're gonna get that done.
That's all.
Can someone send me, can I just actually, can you send me the 12 emails or whatever you got? Just so I've gotten some others from other people, so I feel like everybody got the same one probably. That'd be helpful.
So you can just kind of merge it
She'll just
together.
forward it to me.
Council Morangella.
I'm wondering if, I'm not going to do this, but since the board thing at the time of the whole council meeting passed, that DACRA give a subcommittee report after the committee report to EDCs. Is that possible? Sure. Okay, yeah, that'd be great, and just maybe in July, if you can do the sustainability. And after all the stuff, that'd be great.
Oh, you all set, Max?
Yeah.
Council LeBlanc?
Nothing at this time, sir.
Say something.
Yeah, I have nothing. So tonight we do have an executive session. Executive session. Executive session is for collective bargaining for police patrol to discuss its strategy with respect to collective bargaining in an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body. The chair has so declared. Clerk, we will not return to public meeting.
You need to say, and I so declare.
And I so declare. I think that's it. Just so I so declare.
Do we need to vote to go into executive
Yes.
session? Thank God I have this time. with all these
We have
pieces of
to
paper.
make the motion and go into executive session, right?
Yes, and that has to be roll call.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to move to executive session.
No, he's gotta go to the, hearing the speeches that the chair.
All right, okay.
And then that will be a motion you can second. Well, I guess it's before 10 o'clock.
Is Max planning to attend the executive session?
Oh, yeah, he's staying there. Max is a trooper, he's staying, he's going.
He's gonna have to make a declaration when we're in executive session that he's by himself, that there's nobody who who's not entitled to be in the executive session.
We can keep the Zoom open.
Logistically, I'm not sure.
Could there be other people out there that we don't see?
No, I believe there's good people off, but I mean, I was just gonna kill the Zoom and put an accent on the phone.
Yeah, that's what we have been doing.
Yeah,
Let's say something.
So, Mr. Chairman, this is a motion to move to executive session for the purposes of exemption 3. Do I need to read the entire thing?
You can summarize it, just make sure the chair, she says the chair is so clear.
Okay, as the chair has so declared, we're moving to exemption 3 for collective bargaining with the police patrol, and we need to do a roll call.
And not resume an open session.
And we will not be returning to open session. Councilor Rotuto?
Yes.
Councilor Morangella?
Yes.
Councilor Malloy?
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc? Yes. Councilor Griffith?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Councilor Grover?
Yes.
And Mr. Chin.
Yes.
We are now producing this in collaboration with Franklin TV and Franklin Public Radio. This podcast is my public service effort for Franklin, but we can't do it alone. We can always use your help. How can you help? If you can use the information that you find here, please tell your friends and neighbors. If you don't like something here, please let me know. Through this feedback loop, we can continue to make improvements. And I thank you for listening. For additional information, please visit franklinmatters.org. If you have questions or comments, you can reach me directly at suresteve@gmail.com. The music for the intro and exit was provided by Michael Clark and the group East of Shirley. The piece is titled Ernesto Mañana, copyright Michael Clark and Tintype Tunes in 2008, and used with their permission. I hope you enjoy. By the way, you can also subscribe and listen to Franklin Matters Radio on your favorite podcast app. Search in podcasts for Franklin Matters.